Hello everybody, this is Hearthstone Meta Hype. I am eCore100 with my friend Venga. How's it going, Venga Dragon?
Oh man, I am doing well. You know how I do. I am ready to disrupt and corrupt everybody in the Hearthstone Meta Hype world. What's going on?
Well, okay, so today's episode is going to be a little bit of an angry episode because I'm going to talk about the nerfs and buffs that just happened. And I'm sure you know about them, the 15 cards that were buffed and nerfed. And I want to open it with the one positive thing that happened with these, and that was the nerf to Crab Rider. What were your thoughts on that?
I think that, we could end the episode right here and just say that I think it was the only good nerf. It was the only one that made some sense. It was one that I didn't think about, and I was kind of like, wow, that's really, like, I was like, well, how are they going to nerf it? And we spoke a lot about the health that would be it, and it was a very creative nerf, and I think it served its purpose. It made for what the meta is, what we thought they were trying to do, which is making it more of a board presence meta and everything. So the fact that it has a battle cry and it can rush in and stuff, it's not bad. It makes sense for a meta that would be based on board control and presence, and that was what we thought we were going to get. So yeah, good nerf, right?
I actually liked that nerf. I had an idea on that. I made a poll, and that was one of my ideas. Make Wind Fury a battle cry, so that way you could still use it as a, quote, control mechanic, as the devs said Crab Rider was supposed to be used as. And it would still have its Wind Fury and rush and all that, but it wouldn't be as snowbally. And then there's actually one good buff, I think. Well, I guess two. One was to Tidal Surge, making it go from 4 mana to 3 mana, making it a 3 mana, 4 damage lifesteal spell. It's not enough to make Shaman good, but it was definitely just like a quality of life change. And then the other one was Shield Maiden, going from 6 mana, 5/5, gain 5 armor, to a 5 mana, 5/5, gain 5 armor. And I think making it a 5 mana card just makes it so much better to play for tempo. Like, making it one turn faster actually helps a lot into, say, an aggro matchup. Like, if I play this the turn before a hunter plays a trampling rhino, say I use it with the coin, or say I use it because I went first and he plays a trampling rhino right after that, not only do I have a big minion that can kill the trampling rhino after, but I also have 5 armor so I don't die. If I had to play this after the trampling rhino, at that point it's too late. So making it a 5 mana 5/5 with a really good ability makes Control Warrior good. I think that was the deck that received like the most power from all of the buffs and nerfs and stuff. Yeah, what are your thoughts on those two cards?
Well, the Shield Maiden, right, is, we talked about this card before. It was a 6 mana, now it's down to 5 mana. It's a 5 mana 5/5. It's like the big old whelp, right? Because the big old whelp used to have the draw on it, and this one gives you the benefit of armor. And it's just, don't underestimate how much 1 mana can make a difference in either buffing or nerfing a card. And in this case, the buff really helped it out. It's a solid body at 5/5, and it's also you get the armor. You get it out 1 turn earlier. And the thing is that also with the idea that Paladin has just, Crab Rider came down a little bit, it can be played, more effectively.
The Crab Rider
as
nerf
well.
buys you even more time, so like the Shield Maiden at 5 is even better.
So that was a good buff. And then Tidal Surge, right? Which is from 4 to 3 is cool. Like I said, it doesn't make Shaman great, but there is a really good combo that you can get one turn earlier, or it's playable on turn 5 and whatever. You could do something like Moog Artificer and double the
damage of the spell,
double the damage and the healing as well. So it makes the card a little faster. And I have seen, because I've been playing Shaman on stream, and it helps to have that 3 mana, but it's just not enough. I mean, I think I went like 7 and 10 with what I thought was a really good Shaman deck, and then it just started to fall apart. But
I think this card, you will feel the buff after like the mini set or the next expansion, when hopefully, fingers crossed, Shaman gets draw and like some support as opposed to just being ignored. But yeah, I think that this is a buff that, because Shaman is super like insanely weak right now, you can't really feel. But I do think that it will be noticeable soon, and I'm excited for it because I do think Shaman needs a little bit of love, and having that card, and I don't think that card's like broken either. Like, I don't think this is a card that would need to be nerfed down the line. I think a 3 mana 4 damage lifesteal is quite fair, because there's like two damage lifesteal cards. Well, Penance rotated out, but Penance and Drain Soul 2 mana 3 damage lifesteal cards. So this being 3/4 is very balanced. But
I think another way that they could have buffed that card too, which would have probably broke the meta though, is they might have made it that you could also attack any enemy, not
Oh,
just
that would have been broken.
minions.
That would have been insane.
Yeah.
3 mana for 4 damage to face. I mean, I guess if they maybe left it at 4 mana, maybe. But this is definitely more of a control card anyway. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Remember
going
the
face
funny-
would be insane.
The funny part about it is there was a card back in the day in the Warlock, which was a 2 mana.
Oh, Nether Breath. Yeah.
With lifesteal, right? And Nether Breath had that. So it was a 2 mana. If you had a dragon in hand, you could do 4 damage and you would get lifesteal. So they kind of missed the trick there. Maybe it could have been Tidal Surge, could have been a similar card for.
I mean, yeah.
With the elemental package type of thing.
Oh, you're saying that it would have been like a 2 mana 2 damage or a 2 mana 4 damage lifesteal if you had an element. Like basically the exact same thing as Nether Breath, but elemental instead of dragon?
Yeah, if you had played an elemental before, the turn before or something, or
that would have been cool,
you had
actually.
one
Yeah,
in
I can see
hand, you know, that would have been a little bit, I think, more synergizing with what we think was to come for there. Just it's a good nerf. I mean, it's a good buff, but it's just
fine.
like
it's what I asked for. I didn't try to get super creative with it. It was a fine buff. Hard to go wrong with this one, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically that's all the positive stuff. And now, however much is left in the video is just gonna be negative.
Oh no.
So okay, let's start off with, I guess, neutral. Let's transition into the negative. And it's Refreshing Springwater. I think the Refreshing Springwater nerf was fine. I would have liked to have seen Incanter's Flow nerfed more. I still think Mage is really annoying and powerful, but after playing against some mages and playing Mage like 2 or 3 times to see if it feels good, you definitely feel the nerf. And some people were like, you play Refreshing Springwater now and it'll just automatically corrupt Ring Toss, so it's actually a buff. I don't think it's a buff. I feel like in a few niche situations it'll be better, but at the end of the day, waiting an extra turn before you can draw your cards, and then also only being able to refresh 4 instead of all of your mana, like you still cost 1 mana, I think is a valid nerf. But again, I would have rather had Incanter's Flow. And I don't know if you saw a tweet by Ixar that basically said that we want to make nerfs that we think will make the meta more enjoyable, or have a net positive effect on people's enjoyment of the game. And he's like, and we didn't think Incanter's Flow would do that. So I made a poll yesterday, and after 4,000 votes, 80% of people say a nerf to Incanter's Flow would make Hearthstone more enjoyable. And like, sure, 4,000 in the grand scheme of things isn't a lot, but like, it's a solid enough sample size to at least see a trend. And it's not even like the numbers are close. Like if it was 4,000 people and it was like 50-50 or like 60-40, then like maybe, but this was an absolute landslide. Almost everybody said that it would be more enjoyable. Even in the comments, some people were saying like, I'm a priest player and I think it needs to be nerfed. It's ridiculous. And okay, I want to hear what you think about it, because I'm really upset it wasn't nerfed. Like,
okay, well, first I want to address the first card, which was Refreshing Springwater, right?
Oh, that's true. I transitioned there without.
Yeah. Let's talk about that first real quick. The Refreshing Springwater was a card that was entirely broken at the way it was set up, right? It was basically a 0 mana draw 2, right? And in some cases it could be a 0 mana that actually gave you an extra mana crystal.
Oh, that happened.
And draw
stupid.
2, right?
Yeah.
And now that you have it at 5 mana, I didn't think of that it could corrupt Ring Toss, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either.
It was a good observation by the community. Yeah, very good. and but the problem is the design of the card firstly is just bad. It's exploited. It's just too strong. The card is just too strong. It goes against everything that we've ever looked at in Hearthstone as far as sacrifice. There's just no sacrifice to playing the card.
But Vanga, your whole deck has to be spells to make it work well.
Oh
that's
my
the
God,
sacrifice.
Right. Yes, and then you go up against the no minion mage, and there's 4 minions on the board, and and you have none. But yeah, I understand. There's very little downside to it, right? The reward versus risk of playing it is just not there, and so the card is just busted in the way it is. Yes, you do feel the effects of it, and I've seen it, and you're like, yeah, you feel it, you see it, you could check on how it works, but man, it's just not. I don't know. The card itself is just wrong. That's all. It doesn't work really. It's just bad. I don't know. And then you go on to your second one, right? Which
Incanter's Flow.
Is Incanter's Flow. It's weird when you have Incanter's Incanter's Flow, which reduces the cost of all cards in your deck, right?
Yeah.
And then
2
you
mana,
have
gain 25 mana, basically.
right. And then exactly. And then you have like a card like Microbot in the Rogue, right? And you're like, all right, like, which is like a card like, wow, that's really broken. Oh my God, it's so
Microbot?
broken.
Are you talking about the Octobot, the one that reduces
Octobot,
cost?
excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, Octobot. Sorry about
was
that.
like,
yeah,
wait.
yeah, Octobot, right? So we're talking about Octobot, and it reduces the cost of all your cards in your hand.
Yeah.
And even that's, you're like, wow, oh man, that's like, we talked
but
about.
But that reduces the cost of like a third of the cards as Incanter's Flow, and it's a minion on the board that's conditional. Like if somebody removes it,
exactly,
you don't even get it. Like there's no counterplay for Incanter's Flow. It just feels like solitaire.
Exactly. So you're like, so in a way, like you put those two cards next to each other. You're like, wow, Octobot is not so unfair, is it? It's not.
Well,
like, it's like
I'd say it's still unfair.
No, but you would say
but
not so unfair, right?
Yeah,
like,
comparatively,
just put the two next to each other. Is like, pick the card that's more fair, right? If you had to, you'd be like, Octobot, but you don't want to do both. You know what I'm trying to say? You don't want to be in that situation where you have to choose which card it is. The designers and developers they don't think of these things. Why aren't they thinking of the fact that Incanter's Flow is just what we have been saying we don't like? 0 mana spells, 0 mana cards, 0 this, all kinds of weird stuff, right? I mean, it's strange. It's like the card does so many things wrong. Incanter's Flow will set up a zero mana. I don't remember the spell that gives you 3 minions if you don't run anything.
No spells should be 0 mana. No cards in general should be 0 mana. I mean, I guess fine. The 0 mana like 1/1 little Murloc and the 1/1 little Death Imp, fine. They're kind of gimmicky, whatever.
Yeah.
But like to make like 8 cards in your deck potentially 0 mana, if not more, and then or reduce the cost of more cards to 0 mana, that's ridiculous. Oh my goodness. As soon as you're done, I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna go on a decent rant. So I'm just warning you in advance.
I am done.
I'm getting heated. Okay, I don't know what the Hearthstone developers are doing. I don't know how it's possible to nerf and buff 15 cards and have 0 effect on the meta. Like the only thing that happened was Druid moved up like 1 or 2 spots. Other than that, the meta is almost exactly the same. Demon Hunter is still 5th or 6th. I guess Warlock dropped, but Warlock had been on a downward trend for a while at that point because people slowly started to realize it was bad. So I feel like that was going to happen regardless of buffs or nerfs. Paladin is still number 1 with a higher win rate now than before, which is absolutely absurd. How do you nerf a class and end up having its win rate higher? Hunter's still number 2. Warrior's still 3 or 4. Like, how do you not nerf cards like Conviction, right? How do you say that card's balanced? Or how do you not nerf Omayog, a card that literally is, oh my gosh, I hate Omayog because I do like the counterspell and the ability to interact with the opponent, but making it based on RNG and apparently screwing over your opponent is so silly. Like, I played against a guy, right, the other day. I was playing, I think I was playing Libram Paladin because it was the best deck in the game, and someone was like, can you try it out for me? And I was like, okay. So I was playing Secret Libram Paladin, and I got like a big Libram of Hope out, and then he tried to Siphon Soul it, and in the end, he ended up Blessing of Authority my minion, and I hit him for 18 damage the next turn and just won. All because Omayog just didn't like counter the spell. It just turned it into a buff. And then I look at a lot of the other cards, and I'm like, the N'Zoth buff? I guess it works with Broomstick, but very niche situations will that be good. Deck of Chaos is still terrible. Fiendish Circle is still useless. Shaman's still the worst class in the game by far. The Razorboar buff is actually like a little bit better than I thought it was going to be. Making 3 attack means it can trade into like 1/3s and stuff, which actually helped a lot. I didn't expect this buff to be anything, and it turned out to be okay. I'll give him that. But like, why would you nerf Hysteria? I don't understand. Priest and Warlock were these 9th and 8th worst classes going into this patch.
Wait a minute,
before you
go on, you were the one saying that Hysteria was going to be nerfed. I saw a video you did.
I didn't want Hysteria to be in I said I predicted that it would be nerfed. I didn't want it to be nerfed.
You see you see, that's how it works in there. Is you make the suggestion, you understand what they're going to do. You thought you understood what they were going to do. I was hoping they
wouldn't. Like, this card didn't need a nerf.
You're trying to do reverse kind of like thinking on them or something. You were the one. It was
no,
you.
I'm just because people were asking, what do I predict gets nerfed? And I was like, this is what I predict gets nerfed. I don't want it to be, but like, I kind of see why.
You see?
But
That's the thing, though, is there are people that wanted Hysteria nerfed. Do you understand?
But there's so many other cards that should have been nerfed. Fine, nerf Hysteria to make people happy, but also nerf Incanter's Flow. Like, if they don't care about killing a class to make the game a little more enjoyable, kill Mage and get rid of it Incanter's Flow.
You see, the thing is that the Hearthstone developers are not taking the feedback as it's meant to be. That's one of the things. That's why they don't know what they're doing, because it's like a headline on a newspaper, right? So and so kills 24 whatever, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe they did that. And then you read the article, it's like taken out of context, right? So they don't understand the context of videos like yours. When you had mentioned, I think they
don't
will
look at my videos to look at nerfs. They probably already have things planned out.
Like yours. I know they don't watch them, but like yours, right? Like, they're watching other awesome content creators, you know what I'm trying to say, like, or feedback to Reddit. They see what they want to see. They think there's something wrong with Hysteria. They're not really, they're not play testing. They don't understand why that would be something that would be wrong to do, because like you said, it does take down Warlock, right? Warlock doesn't have now that control. Maybe though they thought that if they left it as it is after they buffed they nerfed Paladin, one card basically, the Crab Rider, which is a neutral card, and that would make then Warlock too strong, which was right on the precipice of being pretty strong if that hadn't happened. But it's the wrong card to touch. Anyway, sorry. I mean, we're ranting. I don't know what they thought they did. I don't know.
You brought up one last thing. I feel like that's interesting to talk about. Do they even play test these changes? Because what I think happens is like a procrastination thing. Trust me, I'm a college student. I procrastinate every single essay last minute, and what I do is I write the essay like the night or two before, and then I just submit it. No proofreads, really. Well, to be fair, it is my senior year, so it's fine. Don't judge me. But I'm like, okay, wrote this essay. I'll just submit it because that's all I really need to do. No proofreading, no like extra stuff. And I feel like that's just what they did. They came up with these nerfs maybe a little bit a while ago, or they came up with them last minute, didn't test them at all, and just said, these will be good. Like, that's the only way that I can justify the nerfs and buffs being this bad. Like, at least it would make sense. It would be better if this was the case than them actually like looking at stats, really thinking, what cards should we buff and nerf to make the meta better? And this being what happens. Because if that's the second instance is the case, there is incompetence somewhere. Like, there's no way that you can make nerfs and buffs, have the meta stay exactly the same, and have the worst class be even worse, and the best class be even better than when it started. Like, that doesn't even make sense to me how that could even happen. And it really pisses me off.
It pisses me off too, man. I just kind of get tired of seeing the same old thing and them making the same mistakes. So I think what we need to do is let's answer the question whether or not they play test the games over on my segment. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know how he could prove it, but I'd love to discuss it.
All right, let's go.